Primate tier list? Okay.
Teeth. Claws. Speed. Power. Long ago, ancient reptiles ruled the meta.
No, someone made an interesting point. No one cares when she goes on Instagram live, but it's big news when she goes on live on Twitch. Because everybody goes live on Instagram, but Twitch requires like literal preparation and a show. That's why you can just like pull your phone out and go live on Instagram. No one really gives a shit, but Twitch is like a gamer platform. You know what I mean? Tier Zoo is progressive, but not an active in politics. They supported Bernie. Damn, why do you know that? Dude, the craziest part is with the human tools, we don't even need our entire population to nuke the planet, just like a few hundred. Yeah, that's true.
In terror. No off-meta builds could even stand a chance in this expansion. No class had ever held the top spot for as long a time as the dinosaurs did, but at the height of their dominance, they were nerfed. For a while, this created a huge power vacuum, but once the jank strats fell by the wayside, it became clear what the new best guild was. Today,
I can't believe my number one simp is like a Nintendo guy. Because I shit on Nintendo so much. All right, I gotta dial back my shitting on Nintendo.
Talk about the build that changed the world. Now, the Primate tier list is weird. Most tier lists I've done resemble a bell curve, but for primates it's actually the opposite. There is no average primate, none in C or B tier. Instead, all of them are clustered in the bottom tiers and the top tiers. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so primates are divided into two guilds, the Prosimians and the Simians. The Prosimian guild includes lemurs, tarsiers, aye-ayes, bush babies, and lorises. While you might think of primates as being really intelligent animals, Prosimians are actually quite average compared to other mammals, and don't have any unique intelligence-based abilities. No specialized social behavior, no tool use, no outsmarting opponents or setting traps. No, these builds generally focus on fundamentals like foraging and climbing. The one special perk they have is superb night vision, but there's a reason they had to spec into that. Most nocturnal builds choose those types of abilities because they either like hunting under cover of darkness, or they prefer to avoid being active during the hottest parts of the day. But Prosimians aren't either of those things. So why are they all nocturnal? The reason is because they get completely bodied by the other primate guild, the Simians. They're completely unable to compete with them, and have essentially been forced into the nocturnal playstyle. This is highlighted by the fact that in the Madagascar server, where there are no Simian primates, all the Prosimian players drop their nocturnal perks in favor of better base stats. So by now you probably guessed correctly that this division is the reason for the bimodality on the tier list. Prosimians are all low tier, the lowest being builds like the aye-aye, which wasted most of its evolution points speccing into a long, thin claw which they use to drill into wood similar to a woodpecker. This fragile weapon isn't much good on defense, and since it obviously doesn't have the mobility a woodpecker does, it can't really do much against those predators once the drilling sound gives its location away. The highest Prosimian has to be ring-tailed lemurs, because they actually do have a decent social structure and reasonably high intelligence, and also aren't completely locked into the arboreal zone like other lemurs. Still, they have yet to unlock tool use and have almost zero offensive capabilities or defensive moves other than simply fleeing. So they have a long ways to go before they break out of D tier.
Yo, these are lame as fuck. I want to see the fucking super predators, dude. I want to see the apex.
Let's move on to the more relevant group, Simians. Characterized by their high base stats, complex social structure, and extreme versatility, Simians are the best generalists in the entire game. But this comes at a cost. High base stats, especially intelligence, require a lot of food to maintain. And so while these builds are definitely some of the best in the game, they're also some of the most difficult. Making the most of their kit is essential to securing the best loot. You simply can't settle for common or uncommon drops. You have to be constantly pursuing epic and legendary sources of sustenance. In addition, their low stealth across the board means you have to remain vigilant at all times and always be prepared to ward off more aggressive players. So let's talk about where each Simian build falls and how to maximize their effectiveness. So at the bottom of Simians we have monkeys, which are also divided into two groups, Old World and New World. These two groups play on different servers, and are also rather different from each other. New World monkeys easily have Old World monkeys beat when it comes to mobility, due to their special ability, Prehensile Tail. This gives them much higher arboreal mobility and makes reaching loot such as eggs and fruit very easy. Spider monkeys are the best example of this, and are the best New World monkey build. However, what they gain in mobility, they've clearly sacrificed from their other stats, having lower intelligence and much lower power. Couple this with the fact that the jungles of Central and South America have some of the fiercest competition imaginable, and it's undeniable that Old World monkeys are in a much better spot in the meta. They don't have the prehensile tail ability, but this is because they're much more versatile. Unlike New World monkeys, which rarely ever come down from the treetops, Old World monkeys are well suited both for climbing and for running on the ground. Since they don't need to worry about whether or not trees can support their weight, ditching this restriction also allows them to bulk up, leading to some genuinely beefy builds, such as the baboon. The best Old World monkey is the mandrill, which combines power and intimidation with aesthetics for a truly threatening fighter. Monkeys are a great build, but to really take primate gameplay to the next level, apes are the answer. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip over lesser apes, because to be honest, gibbons and siamangs are about the same as monkeys in viability. I rate them the same as I rate baboons. What I want to talk about are the great apes. Great apes are the pinnacle of versatility, combined with high intelligence, mobility, and power. The first great ape on the tier list is the orangutan. Again, all apes are good, but obviously one of them had to be the lowest. And while orangutans are strong, they aren't the strongest. They're mobile, but not the fastest. And they're smart, but not the smartest. They're also the least social of all apes, and therefore are the most vulnerable to surprise attacks from players who use stealth, such as snakes and leopards. Perks include opposable thumbs, tool use, and nest building. I see them as a great beginner class since they're great for learning the basics of primate gameplay before getting into more advanced techniques. Next up is the chimpanzee. Chimps are the fastest of the apes, being extremely quick on the ground and in the trees. While they have the means to access high-level loot spawns like canopy fruit or bird eggs, they're also excellent pack hunters. You all know I always have to praise pack hunting, although in this case it's not quite as impressive, since mostly they use teamwork to grief weaker and more mobile players as opposed to taking on bosses as a group. Second from the top is the gorilla, the primate with the highest power, defense, and HP. With their high-level social structure and insanely high base strength, there's really nothing that can pose any sort of challenge to them as long as they remain with their party. That is, except for our #1 highest rated build of all time. There's no question humans are by far the most successful class ever seen in the game. I've gotten a fair number of YouTube comments, Reddit posts, and Twitter DMs saying something like, I don't know if humans are really all that OP. Listen, not only are you wrong, but you've also got to be in denial if you think there's any builds more effective than humans out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, first of all, the opposable thumb pattern recognition perks are so fucking huge because in the long run, especially late game like we're in right now, like early game humans used to get fucking owned, especially with like the larger mammals, as he already talked about before. But like late game humans is such a valuable investment because once you're in the late game, that build has the pattern recognition, teaching skills, like it literally beefs up int. Your intelligence stats are through the fucking roof, and it destroys everything. It destroys the competition. Like your tool making, tool building, tool using skills are all through the fucking roof. Like there's literally nothing that you can touch. Late game, question mark? Like I'm saying that all the servers are in late game, right? Now, of course, there is one other species that's going to be more OP than that, and that is the cockroach. But you know, that's like late. That's end game, and it doesn't really matter at that point.
Obviously, we have to talk about their intelligence stat. It's the highest in the game by a huge margin, and this allows them to build equipment which raises their other stats, except HP, to near maximum as well. Gorillas are 10 times stronger than them until they equip one of their signature weapons. Cheetahs are more mobile than them until they equip a mount. Armadillos have higher defense until they craft their own armor. The bases they create for their clans are unparalleled, and their social structure is second only to you social insects. But the thing is, humans are so overpowered that you could take all of this away and they'd still have an argument for #1. nerf the human's intelligence stat so that it's in line with other high intelligence builds like dogs, elephants, and other apes, and you're still left with all of their other broken abilities that they have. There are a lot of them, but I'll quickly go over the top 3. Humans have ridiculous stamina regeneration. While outclassed in sheer speed by a good portion of other builds, humans regenerate their stamina so fast that speed becomes almost totally irrelevant on defense. The best ground-based mobility builds in the game, such as horses, dogs, antelope, and cheetahs, can easily outrun humans, but sooner or later, a human will always catch up to them. Humans can use the fling projectile skill better than any other build, while other primates, as well as a few others, can pick up items and throw them. Humans can do so further, harder, and more accurately than all others. Lastly, humans allied themselves with specific bacterial support classes, which provide them with a unique power-up, bonus experience. Humans get more XP from loot they consume than other players because of this, and this helps them level up faster and supports their high intelligence and food cost. Those 3 abilities combined would make any other mid to high tier build top tier in a heartbeat. Max intelligence or not. Thank you all for watching, and as always, if you got a suggestion for a build, aspect of the meta, or other topic you'd like to see covered on this channel, be sure to leave a comment. As I close in on a quarter...
Thumbs are pretty crazy. Like, thumbs are pretty wild in the grand scheme of things. Like, when you think about all these other animals, like, well, but low-level humans are garbage to only shit and sleep? What? It's pretty wild. Man like microwave, can he do this with races? See, this is what I mean. Like, no, motherfucker. No. Immediately, like, that goes into race realism, brother. By low-level humans, they mean billionaires. Humans are bitches, that is all. The only time humans, with all of their technological achievements, have ever been able to get owned by fucking nature in the late game period that we're currently in on all servers was the Australian Guild server, which occupies nearly the entire server, too. It's like a fucking main... It's literally the main guild on the main server, and they got fucking dumpstered by emus. And that's pretty much it. That's the last time that the human character was owned by animals so completely. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, as you all know, there is a virus that the bat character has been spreading. The bat pangolin character has been spreading that went over across the guilds and across the servers. But Australia, the Australian Guild server, obviously figured out that, you know, you can't really conquer nature all that great. So they're really crushing the fucking bat pangolin virus that infected literally every single server. Whereas the US Guild, which normally dumpsters and dumpsters every other fucking server and every other faction, is getting obliterated by the bat pangolin server virus. It's kind of crazy. American server lost the bats. Literally, NA throw. NA throw, comparable. If this continues, I would say NA throw is comparable to like the UK 13 colony lead. Mosquitoes kind of meta in Africa. Bats OP in Asian server. Emus kings in Australia server. Is this how we're going to describe politics going forward? Yes. I love it. I am absolutely a gigantic fucking fan of this. I mean, I've done like gaming style descriptions before, but never this much about, you know, different servers and different builds and shit like that. And I really like it. The depression debuff is also massive currently on every server. Yeah.